You want me just to open this door for you? I'll open the door so I can watch you. Let's see who comes in first. Huh? Who was that, Nico or Matt? I gotta get live chat up, not just, yo. Long-haired hippie wearing a chicken pot pie shirt. Nothing other than that. My hair is looking kind of special today, ain't it? Afternoon, Nathan. Let's crank this down just a little bit. It's got a crank on it. Chase. I gotta open this door so my daughter feels comfortable with this. Hang on. Right here. I'm not gonna show it, don't worry. My daughter's exercising. Yeah. Guys, you wanna talk special? I had a feeling I was gonna get some hate with that militarized police stuff because people searched the videos. There are some fucking snowflakes that are starting to comment on that shit. One guy's like, well, you shouldn't say that you didn't research something if you're giving your expert opinion. I was like, hey, fucktard. I specifically said I wasn't an expert. Might not be a doctor. No, I want to leave it. I took one down. I only took one. I might not be a doctor, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express. I never said I was an expert. As a matter of fact, I was very clear to make sure I said I was not. I just have enough common sense to be able to look at something rationally. Not get wound up about it. I don't feel bad. That's not gonna work. I was about to use this stone to crank down this vise. I'm putting a sharpening notch in another Spyderco. This one really needs it. It is a native 5 that is very poorly ground. Well, before we go too far, would you guys like to see? Chicken pot pie. So, we'll try and look at it this way. Can you see how narrow the edge is there and how wide it is there? It's even more pronounced on this side. You can see narrow bevel and then really wide. I don't know. You okay? First one. Okay. My daughter's doing her cardiovascular workout, so she's doing wind sprints in the yard. Chicken pot pie. Chicken pot pie. This hair is coming off. It's getting hot. The hair is. Weather too, but let's see here. There's my little half round, or my round one. I don't charge very much for these little choils, if at all. Depends on how long it takes to cut one in. I've done them in pretty quick time before, but this one's pretty. Unbox Warehouse. Howdy. Who is Unbox Warehouse? Is that a channel I should be watching? 'Cause that sounds like something I would watch. Do you want to do, is that a YouTube channel? Unbox Warehouse? Damn it. Because I like to watch Unbox Therapy occasionally. where's the one I want to use? That's not it. There it is. So what did I miss? Could get a Bronco part off. We tore the front bumper off a Bronco one time. That is funny that you say that. My buddy wanted to put an aftermarket front bumper on with a ranch hand on a Ford Bronco. And he had welded a lot of it himself, and we had to tear that part off. Woo. You have no idea how accurate that was. Buddy John got a golf cart, or I'm sorry, a Jeep Wrangler. So okay, here, let me lower it down. I'll change your angle. So I know I forget that not everybody is always on the channel and knows what I'm doing. So I am currently cutting a sharpening notch, so you can see it for a minute or two. I'm cutting a sharpening notch in by hand on this Spyderco, so that it is going to make it easier for me to sharpen and easier for the customer to maintain. It's just a better all-around deal for him. That's pretty much it, guys. That's all it takes right there. Just have to even it out just a little bit, make it a little bit straighter. Not that it matters, it's just the aesthetics of it. So we will. Sharpening notch. I may expand it a little bit. We'll see. We'll see what this edge looks like. It looks rather shallow at that point there. Let's bring this. All right, guys. Did you guys enjoy the ride? My daughter. Do I also make daggers? No, I do not. I do not. I personally don't want to try and grind a double-edged blade, really, to tell you the truth. Crank you on up there. Don't want to. I don't think it would be very much fun, and I don't see it. Most of the people that would look for a knife from me would even think that that was something that they would want. So there's plenty of people out there that do it. United Cutlery makes some, well, they're shitty, but they make some daggers. United Cutlery is not as bad as it used to be. So this is the one I believe the gentleman told me that he cut some concrete by accident with. So we're gonna give it a, no, not really. The only old school knives I have is stuff that I was given as a gift when I was a child. Stuff my dad gave me. Let's move that there. Move these over. Just finished a bunch of kitchen knives. What was that? Is that a 5? A 5 what? Oh, on the Richter scale. I tried to adjust the tripod and you guys fell. So this is a native 5. That's 30V. Yes. Oh, is this a 5? Yes, it's a native 5. A Sage 5, I mean. What? Yes. Sage 5, yes. So let's see how this is going to work out. Do I need to use the diamond plate, or is this going to be a... See, this one should be ground pretty well because it was made in Taiwan. I haven't had too many problems with the Taiwanese ones, the Taiwanese made ones being bad, and this looks like it's just going to work great. And I'm going to have to thin that edge down a little bit. It's still a little aggressively shallow S30V. So no, there was some special folks. I had to delete a comment, and there was when I deleted it. I wish there was a way. I didn't delete the user entirely. I'm waiting to see if he recomments, but I wish there was a way. $80 grit. It's like beach sand. What was that? Somebody said, I see you rocking the We Made master outs pretty often. Which do you prefer of these several releases from the past few years? How's the S35 VM? The S35 VN from We is amazing. I don't know if I have a favorite. I own the Crux, the Gent, and the Buck. And I also have the Bob T Combat Tactical Folder. I own that one as well. And I think if I was gonna have to pick one, I'd say the Buck. As far as sharpening S35 VN from We knives versus it from Chris Reeves. Chris Reeves is easier to sharpen. The stuff from We holds an edge longer, so it just depends on what you're gonna be doing with that knife. Are you gonna be doing stuff where you're gonna have to sharpen it fairly regularly? Because it still gets dull quicker than 20 CV or S35 or M390. So if you're gonna have to do a lot of sharpening on it, or stuff that's gonna be ruined, you're probably going to want to stick with the Chris Reeves, because it is easier to sharpen. And if you're going to have to sharpen a lot, the other reason to stick with the Chris Reeves is because of the hollow grind. It's not going to thicken up. You're not going to have to address a reprofile on the primary bevel anywhere near as often with Chris Reeves knives because of the hollow grind on the Svenza. So that allows you to bring that material back, and it doesn't start to thicken up like it does on a flat grind, where you would have to reprofile and change your angle to thin that out. So, I mean, it just depends on what all you're gonna do with it and how often you know. Let's see here. This one's not as bad. It's still bad, but it's not as bad. But that 80 grit is just too. It's trying to come apart. I don't want to waste it, so. What are Ruckles? I have no idea what we're even talking about. We don't have Ruckles in the United States. We do have anti-vaxxers. So I don't 100% know what we're talking about. Another thing, I don't want to wear out that. It sometimes just feels like I'm wearing out that 80 grit stone unnecessarily when I could use this. So let's see. Did somebody answer what Ruckles are? So no, I did that video about militarized policing. There's some, the whole thing, Nico, I don't want you to go take any comments down. I want to see the level of ignorance present in that, because what I'm going to do, I already had this plan, because I knew I was going to get a lot of stupidity. I just took down the one that I found personally. Well, he called me stupid, so I took it down. The problem is that the other comments that were in there come down too. So I'm not going to take any more down. I want to see the level of stupidity that occurs in there. And what we're going to do is we'll do a live feed where I read the comments to you guys. and laugh about it. So that'll be good entertainment. Actually, guys, I'm just trying to do anything that'll fucking bring more attention to the channel, if you want to know the truth. It's what was that? Somebody said something. Can you increase the size of finger choils on knives and have a small... Yeah, I absolutely can. Absolutely can. The only reason that I would take anything down in the comments section of that video is if it gets so bad that YouTube starts to intervene, then I'll have to do something because you can actually get a community strike for not maintaining your comment section. So if you're not maintaining your comment section, they may take your videos down. And I don't want that. I like my videos right where they are. They take them down sometimes for no good reason other than I might have just been a little drunker than I needed to be. I'm not going to do it on a live feed. There probably will be a video. It's been a plan of mine. We were going to do a video for the actual haircut for the donation. That was worse than I thought it was. I'm gonna call this guy and let him know. I'm just... No. Well, I had too many bar fighting scars on my head. To, hey, what's up? Way too many scars on my head from bar fights to even think about shaving my head, and if I shave my beard, I look like a fucking Muppet. Sage 5 in S30V. I think it's S30V. Yeah, S30V. So these are nice. They're nice and thin. They sharpen up really easy to reprofile. Later, Alex. I still want to get with you and give you a call. So I will do that. Maybe today. I got a ding notification. I may have... Oh, what's somebody asking what steel I use for knives? I'm carrying... For my neck knives? Oh, okay, yeah. I'm sorry, I'm doing two things at once, and it's really bright out here today. And so it's kind of hard to see the screen, even though it's on full brightness. So right now I'm just addressing the angle. The angle's not 100% correct from one side to the other. And taking out the damage. The guy cut into some concrete. The edge was pretty badly rolled. I think this is the one that the guy emailed me that he had cut into some concrete by accident. Knocked the tip off of it. That's the thing, I'm not gonna have to charge him for a tip repair because, as I thought in the course, yeah, it was a real low spot right there. I'll try and get that out. I am gonna get that out of this one. That's the side that I showed you, the bevel was wider. Oh, guys. I went as the dude for Halloween. I'm not coming out here in my bathrobe. If I did, I'd be wearing this shirt. I went as the dude for Halloween. Find my Instagram. I'm pretty sure I put pictures of it up. So we progressed on to this 250 grit. We'll see if I've got it where I want it. This 250 grit cuts really well, really aggressive. So, no, but I thought I would let you guys know that kind of was what I was thinking. As I shot that video, I was like, oh, the comments section on this could turn into a shit show. And so we might do a live feed where I read comments on that one. If it if it becomes entertaining enough in the comment section, it might be one of those ones that just never gets very much viewing. So there's that one. And then I would love to do a live feed where I read the fucked up comments on my Cold Steel video. Because we can go through that one. And 100% see that people just are not listening to anything I said when I was doing it. They're like, oh, he said Cold Steel shit. They saw the title and were like, oh, fuck him. I'm like, okay, maybe you should have listened to the actual video. Hang on a second, guys. I gotta pause you. I just got something I want to look at. Just take just a second. I'm back. This steel feels weird on the stone. Oh, I know what it is. Nope. I don't have a buck 110. No one's ever sent me one. It's just a matter of refining that edge. Do it like this. I still have it. It's in a drawer. It gets taken out when I have some serious heavy cutting tasks to do. Oh, you wouldn't want to. I try and avoid even truly forming a burr that is difficult to work with. Because if you still got a burr that's that aggressive, you haven't completely done. Like I barely have that's a 250 grit stone. I barely have a burr. One of the other things you can do is get a piece of good hardwood and pull your blade through that, and it'll break that burr off because you're going to take it off anyway with your stroke on the next side. It's the same. You just work a lot on one side, and then on the flat side, just knock that burr off once on your stone with a stropping stroke on a fine stone. But yeah, if you get a good piece of hardwood or like a champagne cork. Nope. I think pretty much all my friends' neighbors are smart enough not to say a fucking thing to me about guns because I'll shoot you. But they're the first people to come knocking on my door and like, I think I heard something in my garage. Can we go over and take a look? Because the cops can't make it. I'm like, yeah, come on, let's go. So, know what I mean? So, yeah. But forming that aggressive burr, it means that you've spent too much time on you didn't bring it. So like, okay, for you guys' neck knives, I spend a lot of time if I'm especially even if I'm doing the power strop, I spend a lot of time on the chisel side, the big wide burr, and then on the back you form that burr, and you just against it, knock that burr off, clean it up, one pass. Same thing I do if I'm sharpening something on a stone that's a chisel ground. I've done a couple chisel ground knives here, and you're sharpening on the. So your chisel looks like this, right? So I'm sharpening on this side of the chisel because this is the flat. And so I'm sharpening. One pass to knock that burr off. Should be sharp as shit. Same way I would sharpen a Japanese style sushi knife, which I don't have. Wish I did. It'd be nice to have a sushi knife. My wife makes sushi and it's a pain to cut it with the other knives. No, I'm not making one. So, These diamond stones really cut well. These were brand new clean. So you can see what they look like, because this is the next stone we're going to. This is my 1,000 grit diamond stone. I just cleaned them up real good. You can see how good they cut just by the amount of material that you see on the top. That's also a good indicator when you start seeing a lot of that material that stays in the stone. So like that. When you start seeing a lot of it want to stay, when you brush it off. See how there's some left? It's not loaded horribly yet, but it's starting to load a little. These are the diamond matrix stones for the Edge Pro system. The guy that makes them, David, sent me a set to test, and I really like them, and he told me I could keep them. And I do like them. They work really well, especially on... Here's the thing, I don't have the money, so I stick to shit that I know works. These came free, and I can't tell you how great they are for harder steels. They don't do a better job, per se. They get you where you're going faster, and you're not tearing up stones that... So these stones will last a lot longer because they're really... The abrasive lasts a long time. Those stones won't last as long. I'm not seeing that, oh my God, it's so much better in Edge. No, it's just, these are better for the harder steels. I still use my aluminum oxides on softer steels. I use my water stones on straight razors. I use oil stones on certain stuff, and I have a set of ceramics in the house. What was that? Edge Pro stones. Yes, these are Edge Pro stones. The Spyderco stones, they're great. They're a little slippery. You don't get the feedback from them that you've got in other, like these. These have some softness to them. You can feel it grips and it bites and it wants the stone to stay in a certain place. If you're not good at sharpening freehand, don't try and use the Spyderco stones. I mean, you'll get good at it eventually, but you'll find that the stone wants to slip around. It's hard to maintain your angle because it doesn't grip. It's cutting almost too efficiently. It makes it really slick and really slippery. And I've got some aberrant fucking grit from one of the other stones that has carried over into this one. I think it was stuck on the blade. Yep, that's better. So you can see, like I was saying, that 1,000 grit cuts really well. And so if your stone is slipping, like Chase was saying, they're slippery as hell. If your blade is slipping around a stone, it makes it hard to maintain that angle. Now, I've done it a bunch of times. I've sharpened a bunch of people's knives on those ceramics. I use it sometimes just to touch up the really fine, crisp edge on one of my knives. I used it the other day on my Master Blaster, and I can do it. It's just, I have to think to myself and remind myself that it is going to be slippery. Somebody asked if I figured out what was in the stone. I did not, but there definitely was something there. It was something that had gotten stuck in the stone, I believe. And it happens sometimes when I'm in a rush, especially like the one day it was raining really hard, and I'll just toss the stones in a drawer, and I'm not as careful. And what could have happened was well, let's take a look. Would you guys like to look in my drawer of toys? Let's look at Mike's toy box. So there's a lot of stones in here, and I need to just go through all this stuff and make a, but I'll just toss them. And this is from that rain that came through, and I just tossed all my stones in real quick. And so you see that there's stones laying on top of other stones. Well, what can happen is that the grit from one of those stones, the aluminum oxides are actually harder than these stones. These are in a resin of some sort. And so, talking about earthquake weather, huh? That's fucking something I had never heard of till I came out here. So, it's, how do I it's easy to get from the aluminum oxide stones, which are harder than these, to get grit jammed into it. And I think that's what happened. I think I had just tossed it in. Sorry about the finger. Sorry about the hand. No, I want to make sure that I have gotten the entire scratch pattern out. So I spend longer on a stone just because it looks like I have the entire scratch pattern gone. Doesn't mean I have the entire scratch pattern gone from the last stone. And I am going from a 650 to an 1100. So that's a pretty significant jump in grit from one stone to the other. And if you don't spend enough time, what happens is it looks like you're done. And then you put it on the next stone up, or 2 stones later, and then you can see little spots where you didn't get that. And it goes all the way to the apex, so you have a spot that is not the same grit as the rest of the edge. And you'll feel it when you're cutting, and the customer will feel it when they're cutting, and that spot will probably drive them nuts and make them not want to use my service again. But I mean, I'm not spending that much time. I've already been through 4 stones in the 30 minutes we're talking about, and a lot of that was me cutting in the sharpening choil. And then before I put the stone back in the bucket of rinse water, I brush it off with a soft bristles brush. So now we go to the 23, and then I'm gonna have to, this will have to wait till tomorrow for 8,000 because I have to flatten my 8,000. So you can see this stone is my 2,000 grit-ish stone, and it still cuts real aggressively here. Let's see, can you get in on? Just like I said, I have to go back down to 1,000. I can see a spot where it's just, we'll try going down to 1,000, see if that'll do it. Up near the tip, there's a little spot where that stone's not. So think of it like this. So your blade goes up and down like this, right? So it might have a curve spot in the edge where it's low. Well, this grit is really, really coarse, and it can get up in there. This grit's really fine, and it just goes straight across. And so you'll see the grit from this one, but you don't see the grit from this one because it can't get up in there because it's too fine. And you got to remember, that's a full flat area. So hang on a second, Chase. I'll tell you what I use for cleaning the stones. You don't really clean these stones, you dress these stones. And I should do a video about dressing different types of stones and maintaining different types of stones. It's just that I would have to stop sharpening for that. And a lot of times I can do other stuff. Like I shot this morning's video while I was waiting on stuff to soak up enough moisture. Whew. Okay. So let me see, who said what? Topics and Alto Sax challenge himself. I know you said you sent me that. What do you use for cleaning stones that don't need flattening yet? So you got to be careful with certain stones. I basically just dress these because if they're getting dirty, it means that they're getting full, and you got to expose some new diamond. And so for the finer stones, there's some 240 grit aluminum oxide in here. It's really, really pretty fine, and it dresses the smoother ones up nice. For that 80 grit stone, this is basically gravel, because that's what you need to open up the grit on that. And then for the other ones, the aluminum oxides, this is, I think this is 80 grit silica carbide. And that's what the glass plate is actually intended for. I just use it because it's a nice addition to have a nice spot where, you know, I can put the wet stones up here, the water drips onto the plate and not all over my workbench and all over me. So it's easier to have that plate there. Makes sense. I'll do a video on cleaning and dressing stones. My ceramic stones, all I use is what we always called them military, a greenie weenie, and some for ceramic stones, just that and some oh, what the hell you want to call it? Ajax or Comet, just scrubby powder, the abrasive cleaner. You can get the kind with bleach. It doesn't matter whether it has bleach or not. What you're looking for is that really fine abrasive to be able to get down in to the pores of that ceramic and clean out the metal that's sitting there. Isabel? I don't know what that was. So, oh, yeah, anyway, back to the video I shot earlier. So yeah, that comment section, I have every expectation is gonna get real special. And that's cool because it's gonna generate some content. Big on I use strops. That's what this is. This is a balsa wood strop impregnated with diamond. I have a 1 micron and I have a 1/2 micron. And I just use them as the final step. After I've knocked the burr off from my final grit stone, I'll show you. I don't want to get my 8000 grit has got to be touched up, the big flat one, before I try and use it. It's got some significant nicks in it from a kitchen knife I sharpened the other day, and didn't realize that it was chipping the corner as I was hitting into it. And I was like, Isabel, is that you? Does that make much of a difference? What do you mean? Does what make much of a difference? Stropping? Yeah, taking it down to 1/2 micron after you're done sharpening, it really does. It refines that edgy. I don't treat them like strops. These aren't like the strops you would use on a straight razor unless you're just finished sharpening them, or the strop you would use for touching up a kitchen knife. It makes a much crisper, because it's diamond. It's basically a really super fine honing stone. Hang on just a second. I thought that was you out there riding your rollerblades. Nice. I just wanted to make sure I knew where you're at. Just riding the rollerblades. So it does. Stones, you can only go so far before you run into the stone on a diamond, especially like on a diamond stone. Your grit gets to a point where it's so small that it doesn't want to stay in the matrix because it's so small. There's not enough to hold on to it. So basically, you don't wind up getting as much abrasive, and that's why a lot of times diamond stones that are in a matrix like this only go to a certain grit, because there's not to hold them in as well. And so you start getting cloudiness and nastiness that happens because you're rubbing it against basically a block of resin. So when you get to a certain point, like I'm gonna probably do this one and see what it looks like under the microscope later, and see if I need to keep doing a 4000 or an 8000. I mean, I'm going to. The customer asked for 8000. I'm just curious what this 4000 looks like compared to my 8000. But at any rate, those strops act as a super fine honing stone, and they refine your edge down, but they're not like a regular strop that. Okay, we'll do this again. If you're using a strop and you're using a compound like, and I use it too, chromium oxide, let's say. Chromium oxide is softer than steel, and it's gonna break down. So you load your leather with it, and then after a couple strops, what happens is instead of all being pointy and sharp, the little pieces that are the crystals that are supposed to do the cutting and polishing, they start to round off. And that means that your little striations that are on the blade, all the way up to the apex, your little micro striations that do the cutting, Well, that means that they start to round. And not only do they get round in the track, they get round at the front. And basically what you do is you wind up burnishing off the edge. And so it won't cut. It's really smooth, it's really shiny, it's really pretty, but it doesn't cut. With diamonds, the only thing you got to worry about with these is like this one's starting to get loaded with steel. It has nothing to do with that's not cutting. It just gets the compound in it dirty, and then it embeds the steel back into the steel, and you see little black lines in the micro serrations because your strop was dirty. But they stay sharp, and they keep cutting it. So no matter how much you're stropping on one of these, you don't have to worry about burnishing off your edge. You're still cutting your edge, and then you can go down even finer, and it's still cutting. And yes, it's the micro serrations are finer, but they still bite. They still act like a little saw blade, if that makes sense. If not, I'm sorry, I don't have any other way to explain it. When it gets thin enough that it snaps off. But when you're up to like 4,000, 5,000, 8,000 grit, you're not doing that anymore. You're not taking the burr off. You're refining the edge. These don't have the cutting potential. There might be a tiny burr, but off of this stone, I could hand this to someone and they would never know that there was a tiny burr. The first time they cut it would break off and that knife would feel stupid sharp, but I don't like to do that. I just use yeah, of course, socks and sandals. Because I'm in and out of the house. We're a Japanese family. My wife's Japanese, my daughter's half Japanese. I lived in Japan for 13 years. I don't wear my shoes in the house. I try not to anyway. I do it occasionally, and then I get yelled at. Only if I absolutely have to run in because I forgot something or... So now I will tell you what I use the chromium oxide for, because I'm about to. It is for that final burr that I may have formed on these really fine stones. And so what we're gonna do is we'll wipe that off. We'll do a quick paper cut test. So I can show you the difference, since you guys are kind of asking, does it make a difference? I think it does. I personally think it makes a big difference. The difference between stropping it after and, and not. But like I said, you got to make sure either you're replacing that abrasive really often, reloading really often, or using one that doesn't break down. So on this strop, I only use chromium oxide. The other reason I use the balsa wood is this type of leather does not want to take, it doesn't want to take the sprays. A lot of time it's tanned, it's got some oil to it. So I just take my chromium oxide, reload my strop. I just do a quick pass. 1, 2. 1, 2. Oh, I was gonna show you. Okay, we'll go back. Let's do that again. I was gonna do it before I strop. Let me get my 4,000. Let me get this stone back out again. No? Okay, we'll do a couple passes on this just to go back to where we started from. So just in case there's a burr, we can see the difference between on the stones and off the stones. Or off the stones and off the strop. Okay, so. There's that. I mean, my wife's only 43. I don't know what stories she would have from the war. And her dad wasn't born yet, so. God damn it. I'm gonna have to go back. Remember me talking about finding grit? Well, no, I guess I didn't. I thought I missed a spot. I guess it might have just been some, yeah, it was just a little bit of stropping compound. It was making it cloudy. So anyway, so here we go. We'll do a paper cut test right off the stones. Without a strop, because I just did. Thank you, Smoky Mountain Knife Works. Ooh. You guys seen the Buck Bahamas? Or Brahms, I mean? Ooh, I like that. That's the military part of me talking. It's a combat knife. So it cuts okay, right? But can you hear it? Listen. Okay, let's see what it sounds like after we strap it on this. Here it sounds a little bit less coarse. Let's go down 1/2 micron. I just was doing that just to make sure I knocked the burr all the way off, because I don't want to drag a burr down this and strip the diamond out of the strop. Yep, I am gonna have to go back. There is a weird spot on the tip of that. Oh well, but at any rate, we can do it this way. Okay, so that's 1 micron. Let's see if it sounds any cleaner and smoother. So if I can get it to cut. Hear how it sounds? Hear how it sounds a little bit less coarse? Hear it? A little bit less coarse. Now let's go to 1/2 micron. I'm gonna get, let's cut this down the middle. Get us a clean sheet of paper here. Let's see. Now we'll hear the, can you hear how much difference there is in how that blade now interfaces with the paper? It's a much cleaner, smoother edge. No. That was a 4,000, and then down to 1/2 micron. So that's more along the lines of 15,000 grit. I'm not happy with it though. Let's see. Nope. It's not good enough. It's just catching, it's not cutting. So we go back. But like I said, the edge on this is wrecked. 4,000. 3. I don't think we need to go all the way back down. I think we can just go back down to 250. This is what it is. That's what it's like, guys. I take your knives and then I won't know till I get to the end. Is it sharp? Yes. Is it the sharp that I want it to leave my house? No. I think I got it that time though. Oh yeah. Matt makes some of the best sheaths out there. Did you figure out, you said something about the sheath, and I was gonna give you a call maybe tomorrow and see what you said about something about the sheath, like you wanted to. Well, here's the thing. So Matthew can tell you, I'm doing this without looking. So it's just years, like I've taken a lot of years of practice. This edge was rolled really badly, so I was not surprised to find a spot where I may have missed a little bit in getting that angle set. Because like I said, sometimes you won't notice it until you get way up in the grit. If then. That edge is still rolled. So, you know, this is This would come in handy if I was like trying to teach. What was it properly? No, my grits, I have toothy edge at 10,000 grit. It's just what you use to finish on. If you strop, like I said, go back and watch like 10 minutes ago. You're just gonna have to go back and watch it. I'm not gonna explain it again. It's the final step. How do you remove that burr and how do you finish that edge? I finish it on super fine, a diamond, basically diamond compound that's embedded in my stone, or in my balsa wood strops. If you're using something that is not that hard, you need to reapply it more often because the steel will break it down and then you wind up with something that's not toothy, it's just polished. Still don't have it. Well, guess what we're gonna do? Nuclear option. We're gonna go back to the fucking plate. Like I said, the edge was rolled and the tip was gone, so it's not surprising me that I'm having a hard time getting that tip taken care of. I'm just gonna take off a bunch more material, bring that edge back and line it up. If it ain't now, I don't know when it will be. Just gotta even that point back up. I took a lot of material off right there. Not yet. Yeah. There we go. That's, what was that? Somebody. No, it's balsa on wood. I believe that the customer said he cut into a piece of concrete by accident. That burr is aggressive, but pretty sure we got most of it. But we're gonna go back and just make sure. It's bent. That's part of my problem, is that tip is bent just ever so slightly. Yep, from whatever was cut into, it's bent, but that's fine. That'll cause you problems. If the tip is bent, it'll cause you some problems. And I didn't really look at it when I started. I knew that the edge was rolled, but I didn't pay as close attention. But I mean, eventually you figure out what's wrong. This one's been special. So what's everybody else doing on this fine Monday afternoon? And part of the reason I don't mind doing this in a live feed, I don't. Okay, depending on your strop, it won't load a. It's a water-based. Well, thanks, Mike. That's what we needed to know. It's like talking to myself on a live feed. It depends on the type of strop. It's not going to stick in a leather. It won't. You will be really upset with your decision if you're trying to load a leather strop with the liquid I use. I don't remember. I think it's the Edge Pro ones, the 10 karat. I'm pretty sure that's the one I got last time. There's a couple out there. You just get a good one. Don't. When you're doing with something like that, you want to not. Yeah, a barber strop. You do not want to put it on a barber strop, because the thing is, if you're trying to strap a razor with it, I never recommend daily stropping a razor on an abrasive. The only time razors go on this is right after they come off the 12,000 grit strand, just to refine that edge down to half micron. It's not to reset. It's not a maintenance piece. I have a bare leather strop that has a felt side for that. That's what I use when I strop my razor before I shave. I do not use these. You will wear out your razor so fast by constantly taking that material off, and it doesn't keep you from having to sharpen. You're still gonna have to sharpen. So if you're using it for knives, that's something different. And the other thing is, you want something that you can hold and you can get. Jesus Christ. This fucking knife is fucking jacked. I think, as I'm looking at it, I think somebody tried to fix this and didn't do a very good job of it. So we're gonna go ahead and do this. This actually is more abrasive, more aggressive than my diamond plate. I don't want to waste this for silly things. But steel is Rex. LOL. I think Rex 21. It's about along the same lines as. It's basically, Rex 121 is basically the same as 20 CB. That's what I was looking for. Well, I'm having to take off a lot of material. I'm gonna have to charge this guy's extra. Knife you sharpening, that is a Spyderco Sage 5. I'm gonna finish this up. My daughter and I are gonna go outside and play. We're gonna play catch. I'm gonna see if I can throw a football with this fucked up shoulder that they've rebuilt for me 3 times. See if I can't screw it all up all over again. That looks like I want it. That looks the way I want it. Because this is the last thing I'm sharpening today. My daughter is on spring break. And I had the entire weekend and I didn't spend any time. Utah, give me 2. 2. Matt, you can come over. I'll try and hit you in the face with one. What's that dude looks like? Look up Southland Baskin. How about no, you freaky deaky Dutch? I like gold. It'll be fun, Matt. I bet I could still get the throw off. Took way more material off of this knife than I was expecting to. All right, now you're just being cantankerous, you piece of shit. You gonna play a fucking game? Play a fucking game. I know how to do this better than you know how to piss me off. I'm talking to the knife, yeah. I'm talking to it. I'm threatening it. Sometimes you have to resort to threats of violence. I think I got it. Let's go ahead and go to 650. And you guys wouldn't know how I address the burr. So some people are like, oh, you take your, how do you make sure you don't have a burr when you go from one stone to the next? I don't. I start on this side, and then I finish on this side, and then I start on this side, and I finish on this side. So you always start on the opposite side. That way your burr is always on the same side every time. And since you're gonna remove it anyway, why people go to all that trouble? Like, you just do one stroke on the other side, just knock that burr off. Why not just start on the side with the burr on the next stone? Makes perfect sense to me. That's the way I do it. Not the greatest of moods today. I've been told I was cantankerous by my mother when I talked to her earlier. Why are you so ornery? Ornery, that's what she said. She didn't say cantankerous. She said ornery. As my grandmother would say, I have a bee in my bonnet. Right? What do I know? I just do this for a living and for world-renowned knife makers, designers, customers on almost every continent. But I don't know anything about that, do I? And there we go. Now that's where it should be. Now we can go ahead and go to the 1,000. I had a guy complaining about the length of my videos, and he's like, well, 7 minutes, we finally get to the body of the video. I'm like, guys, my videos have a specific thing that I've noticed that my followers like. I'm not making videos to try and get to 1 million subscribers. I'm making videos that my core subscribership, which is you guys, the guys that will come in on my live feeds and stuff like that. That's who I make my videos for. If you don't like my videos, I don't want to sound like a dick, but if you don't like my videos, find a different channel. I mean, I do say I want to know why, but that's not something I'm willing to change. You guys enjoy the format of the videos, right? You guys like the way I do my videos. And I always ask, if you're gonna give it a thumbs down, tell me why, but also think about the fact that I've got 600 videos up. There's a format that I'm gonna, pretty much a format that I'm gonna stick to. If I haven't changed it in 600 videos, I'm probably not gonna change it now. But as far as content-wise, get a lot of time spent with my daughter. So when I finish this, we are going to go do something outside, probably play football. Well, I know what caused that grit. I just knocked into the stone and knocked a chunk of it up there. There we go. Did 19 people. Time is it in San Diego? It's, I don't know, 3:45 when I started this, so 4:50. Yeah, here's the other thing. I don't know if this guy's paid me yet. I haven't checked my PayPal to see if this guy even sent me any money. So this might be one of those ones where I screwed up and did something before I got paid. There we go. That's better. That is better. Yep. There's another way you can, if your stones get like really dirty really quick, especially if it's a super fine stone, human skin is relatively abrasive. You can take off a lot of that just by rubbing it real hard. East Coast 3, Central 1, Mountain, or Central 2, Mountain 1, and then here. Let me finish this, and I'll explain to you, Mike, why I use the Edge Pro stones, because you'll see it when I pull out one of the big bench stones. I do keep the bench stones for stuff. Yeah, I've sharpened a couple of the Riat Jacks. They're a gorgeous knife. I've sharpened a couple of just the plain M390 ones. I sharpened a couple of Damasteel ones. They're all gorgeous. They're all really well built. They're big. That's a big knife, but now I'm pretty sure I don't have a burr because I couldn't hear it. Now we're just gonna go ahead and go straight to these. Nice thing about these, they have some give, so you don't have to be real precise in your angle. Cleans it up real good, gets you a nice polished edge, then you can go down to the 1/2 micron. But always, if you're going from from 1 micron to a 1/2 micron, oh, don't do that, that's such a good shirt. Always wipe your blade off so you're not transferring 1 micron to 1/2 micron. If you go the other way, that's fine. You can have 1/2 micron diamond in with your 1 micron, but if you're getting grit contamination, you run into problems. Oh yeah. I think the wind caught it. Yeah, there they are. Free hanging little beard hairs. Can you see them? Of course you can't see them, they're tiny. Here. Face pubes. And now it has a tip again. Now, with that tip having been knocked off, it's a little thicker. And so that you guys know, I don't just do the cutting in a video. I do the cutting, no, just titanium. I just haven't polished it for a while. It's kind of knocked up. So the doing the cutting tells me if I've got any burrs, because in fine paper like this, it's gonna tear. It's gonna rip and tear. So I don't just do that to show you guys, oh, it cuts. There's a specific reason I do that. And I see these guys do their sharpness tests, and they're like, see, it cuts, and they're using magazine paper, or not magazine paper, but like printer paper, or this. See how much this is thicker, and you'll be able to hear it. This is thicker than printer paper. So you see people use that, and they're like, ah, it's razor sharp, and you're like, it's sharp enough for printer paper. Will it cut magazine paper? Will it cut phone book paper? Will it cut fucking paper towels like I did on my Instagram that time? So guys, it's been 71 minutes. This knife is done. I got to do a little bit of admin stuff. Wrap these kitchen knives back up. Put my stuff away. You guys have a good day. I've enjoyed hanging out with you. We've spent 2.5 hours together today. So his note back in here. Let him know it's going to be a little extra. Later, guys.